I'm Paul Rondario, from the University of the Philippines Silliman under Sir Dan Dorado. This is a webinar on integration and interdisciplinarity. Material is taken from Chapter 3 of the online course, The Digital Scholar by Martin Weller, available at the Open University. The course begins with a transcript of Martin Weller. He introduces digital scholarship and its influence on interdisciplinarity. He says, in pre-digital days, to get information about a subject, you would have to visit a physical library. The organization of materials were by discipline, so cross-discipline study wasn't easy. He also mentions tools from Web 2.0, blogging, and Twitter. The outcome of this part of the course is to gain an understanding of how new technology and open access publishing can influence interdisciplinarity. Eran Shapiro is the Director of Public History of the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. He talks about his experiences as a public historian. He says that a challenge for people like him is to make his work known to the public. He tackled projects in light of this. The first project was enabled by a grant from USDA. His students working on the project did video projects. Others did podcasts. The work involved many disciplines. He says that the process of making is what is important. Another project was creating a digital memorial. And his work always involved leaving tools for the community, for his fellow historians, which enabled them to be more effective historians by integrating cross-discipline work. Technology's potential to stimulate interdisciplinarity may be greater than their use in research. Interdisciplinary work is not well represented by the current funding and publishing culture, but it is also free from the restrictions these place on innovation. Web 2.0 tools are now seen to serve the needs of interdisciplinarity because they are lightweight and unrestricted. Blogs, according to Amer, Brazard, and Packet, are a form of personal knowledge publishing and fosters interdisciplinary knowledge sharing. This part of the chapter explores the characteristics involved in the successful use of these technologies. Xiaohe and Liwa present three characteristics of blog culture: thought share, nonlinearity and concentricity, criticalness, and multivariate collision. Thought share. Blogs are for sharing thoughts, versus first-generation websites, which were mostly for sharing info. Construction of knowledge is nonlinear. The linking and embedding both within blogs, aggregation of blogs, the construction of knowledge is said to be nonlinear. And finally, criticalness and multivariate collision. It comes from a personal subjective standpoint and attracts varied comments. Loic Lemieux points out more characteristics of a blog community. A willingness to share thoughts and experiences with others at an early stage, the importance of getting input from others on an idea or opinion, launching collaborative projects that would be very difficult or impossible to achieve alone, gathering information from a high number of sources every day, control over the sources and aggregation of their news, the existence of a common code, which was a vocabulary, a way to write posts and behavior, such as quoting other sources when you use them, linking into them, commenting on other posts, and so on. A culture of speed and currency, there is a preference to post or react instantaneously, and a need for recognition. Bloggers want to express themselves and get credit for it. Ehrlich and Levin express the term cultural stickiness, which is enabled through the norms and behavior of a culture. This may have either desirable or undesirable effects. According to the author, interdisciplinarity is prevalent in the blogosphere. Blogs operate at the intersection of personal and professional life, so these things may intersect. For example, I may be a researcher on medicine and its interactions on the musculoskeletal system, but as a sideline, I may be a fitness professional. Through my knowledge, I can give input to things which relate to both of these areas, such as how the public responds to current research, or how current research may benefit a layman's daily activities, like making articles on caffeine interaction, easy tips on being fit, etc. Interdisciplinary is said to arise in at least 4 ways in blogs: as the formal communication platform of a department, project, or individual with a specific interdisciplinary remit; through the historical context of a specific individual who may have specialized in a different domain previously, and then they can talk about this in their blog; informal interests which overlap with the more substantive content of the blog, such as the examples above, and comments and links from the blog's wider readership. Twitter as a social network allows for connections both between people and content across disciplines. One of the important points of Twitter is its open API. Developers can make apps using Twitter data. Because of this, Twitter has gained popularity in unconventional ways. It can be used as a public log for activities, weight loss, data analysis, news, marketing, monitoring, management, archiving, link shortening, etc. It's not open source, but it is an open approach. It involved the community more. There are 3 key features of Twitter: the @ in front of a Twitter username to send a reply. It was user convention at first, but it became standard. Hashtags to define comments. It is seen as metadata. It allows comments to be searched. Their unregulated use made it become a standard. Retweets. Boyd, Golder, and Loran identify the following motivations for retweeting: to amplify or spread news to new audiences, to entertain or inform a specific audience, to comment on someone's tweet, often to begin a conversation, to make one's presence as a listener visible, to publicly agree with someone, to validate other people's thoughts, as an act of friendship, to recognize or refer to less popular people and to make them more visible, for self-gain, to gain followers, or to save tweets for future personal access. The author's own network was analyzed, and the geographic spread of his followers were mainly across these countries, and the biography details, the professions that were his followers were consultant, technologist, PhD student, lecturer, manager, teacher, librarian, and author. So he had many followers, but he noticed that he only had small interactions. He only interacted with a small amount of people relative to the size of his followers. This is related to Dunbar's number, which was about 150. This was because it was a cognitive challenge to keep track of more people. Twitter network has a number of advantages and associated issues. Geographical diversity, professional diversity, size, and immediacy. Some possible issues with Twitter and other social media outlets. It can be an echo chamber. Because so much difficult to keep up with the river of information, it's more comfortable to spend time with like-minded people. What comes out of this is that there is a distorted view. There's no dissent, which can be both a good thing and a bad thing. The solution to this is to cultivate networks with diversity. Now it is easier to establish a new journal. One can use open journal systems, which are cheaper and easier than before. The gold route, where publishers make a journal, open access. For commercial publishers, fees received through the subscription model from the library must be recouped, so an article processing charge is levied. And then there is the green route. The author self-archives a copy of the article, either on their own site or on an online repository such as the Open University's Open Repository Online. With the gold route, the emphasis stays with the journal, and with the green route, it shifts to the article and repositories. This week, we have looked at how digital technologies might become embedded in scholarship, and hopefully you can consider whether open access publishing can also encourage interdisciplinarity. Thank you.